Ministry team leaders, thank you so much for your hard work and sacrifice on behalf of the glory of God and the fame of Christ in God's church at Redemption Church. Thank you all so much for all that you're doing. This Sunday we transition to the Jessalyn. Now, we are hopeful that the construction is going to go fast. But for the sake of not setting our expectations too high and being as realistic as possible, we're going to say 12 weeks. 12 long weeks at the Jessalyn, having to set up and break down, having to have the kids separated from the parents by an entire street and probably 35, 40 yards. Extra burden on your volunteers and on yourselves. Okay, so that's the reality. But that's only part of the reality. The rest of the reality is that God is doing great things in our midst. Okay, God is saving people. People are being baptized. Gospel community groups are growing. People are, if you could just hear even half the stories from the Song of Solomon series about the work that God is doing in people's lives through the ministry of Redemption Church for His glory and for the fame of His own name, it is super exciting and special, all the things that God is doing. And you guys are a part of that. Okay, so that's the reality as well. Okay, so that's where we're at. There's going to be some obstacles, some bumps in the roads, some things that make the next 12 weeks difficult. Yes. But God is doing glorious and amazing things. So I want to look you guys in the face via video. And one, say thank you so much for all that you're doing to lead well and love well in this. I want to tell you, please encourage, set the shining example of glorying in and celebrating in all the things that God is doing at Redemption Church over the next 12 weeks. It's going to be easy to be impatient. It's going to be easy to be frustrated. It's going to be easy to struggle through. But I'm praying for each and every one of you individually that God will give us perseverance and joy through this. For those of you that have been around long enough, you remember set up and break down every single week for year after year after year. That's a part of our history at Redemption Church. And so this is only a stint of that. And it's an opportunity for us to relive the history of Redemption Church and celebrate how far God has brought us. So please be realistic and be apologetic in the sense of understanding what your volunteers are going through and offering anecdotally those apologies. Say, I know that it's difficult right now. I know that there's extra weight on you right now. But within that, and chalk through that an attitude of joy and excitement and thankfulness for all that God is doing. We have to lead the way in that. Again, it's going to seem like a whip because we've gotten used to having our own space, no setup, no breakdown, go in, do church, finish, leave. But for the next 12 weeks, it's going to be harder and more difficult, especially for those who have never experienced the past of meeting at the Renaissance and meeting at Corbley Hall and meeting in Josh and Sarah's basement. Okay? So it's going to be difficult for some people. So we as leaders are going to have to lead the way in joy and in perseverance and in thankfulness and in attitudes of joy and in all that God is doing and working out in this. So please do that. Please lead the way in that by casting that vision constantly, that vision of thankfulness and celebration for all that God is doing. And thank you guys so much for leading out in that. I want to show you just a couple things on the city real quick.